we are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk.
Welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
We are in the studio, and we have a great episode for you guys today. Thanks for joining us, but let's get into it. So Soul Performance, sponsor for the show.
Yep, their exhaust company.
Exactly. Great performance exhaust, holds up on track. Have it on the Turbo S.
Have it on my 997.
Yeah, they're beasts. And so check them out on their website. They make performance exhaust for all types of makes and models.
Yeah.
Not just Porsche. So if you want to run it on something else, maybe that you have in your stable, tell them we sent you. They have great stuff. You can see all the stuff they've put their cars on. Their exhaust on cars, excuse me. And
a lot of videos, a lot of review stuff. That's really good that they have all that. So it's not just like looking at a blank page and like, oh, that's good. And I wonder how that sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
They get a lot of people to review their stuff, do flybys and stuff like that. So
and we're going to make a flyby video on what mine sounds like as well. But we have before and after startups of it, some revs, what it sounds like, what it looks like. That's all will be on our YouTube channel, and you can check that out as well. But they're a great place. They make great stuff. They're enthusiasts all the way around. They love cars, all makes and models. And their exhausts are...
It's all hand-built stuff and welded, and it's pretty
and it's done here in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's another important thing. Yeah, exactly. So it's not some overseas type of deal where you're trying to buy something and somebody's cookie cutting these things out of some questionable place and they come in and they fall apart after a couple track sessions. That is not this at all. So
it's not a pass-through. Yeah,
you're getting some super quality stuff. So please check them out because they are a sponsor of the show. And they're good to us, so be good to them as well. So let's talk about a little bit of club memberships and Farron and our drive and all that kind of stuff.
So we're doing a drive. Mm-hmm. We moved it a little bit later than we intended. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do it in August. It's still going to be in the Georgia region.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in kind of like late August is what we're shooting for. All the exact dates and all the info and stuff that you can get that by being a club member. So once you join our club, then I'll send an email. You get an entry or a new initial email, and you'll see all the password. You can log in. You'll have all the hotel details where we're staying at. If you can't stay there, there's several options to stay around that area.
Exactly.
Breakfast, coffee spots, everywhere we intend to drive, all our lunch spots, everything. So you'll get all that stuff once you join as a club member. Speaking of club memberships, that's what we have. So we have 3 annual memberships. We used to have it a lot spread out. We decided we got rid of all that. We made it easier for everybody.
Streamlined it.
Just do one thing. So we have a base membership, an S membership, and an RS. And prices are on the website. It's from $55 to $165. But it's for the year. So it's like 7 cents a day, I think.
Exactly.
So one of those is like 7 cents a day.
And you get a ton with it, right?
So much. So you get with the base one, you get a decal. With the S membership, you get a shirt and a decal. And then with the RS, we do a special metal card. We do a special RS decal, the club membership decal, and the shirt.
Exactly.
And so all those things.
And all of those memberships are eligible for giveaways.
Exactly. And
that we have every month.
So we do a live stream.
Yeah, we give away stuff every month. And they're not some like lame giveaways. They're really, really good stuff.
No.
There hasn't been one thing that we've given away that I haven't wanted to keep. So
yeah, that's true.
And
we don't give away lame stuff at all.
Exactly. We've given away so many cool things, and a lot of our sponsors are directly involved in that, and we're so thankful for that. And it all goes back to you guys getting that opportunity to get something every month. So there's a winner every month. We do 2 winners in December for Christmas.
Yep.
And additionally, like we're developing what it's going to look like. I think we're going to make a sim racing network with the club members.
League action.
Exactly. We're going to see who the fastest in the club is. We're going to maybe do some enduro racing and try to link people up and try to basically network together, even though we're all over the world. Our memberships are everywhere. And we're going to try to find a way. I think that's a great way and a cheap way to not have to travel somewhere. To be able to still participate in a camaraderie type of get together, and where people are maybe competing against each other, there's some trash talking going on.
Always.
There's going to be some prizes, so that's in the future, and that's what that's going to look like with the membership as well, and that's also going to be included in your membership. So if you have a sim rig, or you're interested in getting a sim rig and you are a member, or you're not a member and you have a sim rig, you should probably become a member.
One of those three combinations.
Yeah, you want to show us how much of a badass you are? Hey, you get shout outs. We get the call outs on the show. Exactly. We'll give you guys the results on the podcast once we get to that point. Talk about whoever is the badass, and how much of a great driver they are, XYZ, fill in the blanks. So that's coming as well.
Yeah. As an additional thing that we do.
Yeah. So needless to say, the underlying points with that is you get a ton back with your memberships, and we really, really mean that. We're not trying to say that as a marketing tool or some clickbait stuff. You legitimately get a ton back. And I dare to say, as far as being a small club and a small operation, I say that we're probably second to none as far as what we give back to our folks.
It's true.
So enough said with that. Want to remind you guys, as we did on the prior episode, please go on to iTunes if this is where you consume this at. Yep. Give us a review.
5 stars if you like it.
Yeah, exactly. Write a review. It helps us out a lot from an analytics standpoint. We haven't made that ask in a long time, so we're going to try to hammer it home to remind you guys to do that, because I know it's easy just to continue to listen and not make a review. And the data points are out there because we have, 88 reviews and there's like 1,000 people downloading constantly. So
yeah, that's 100% fact.
The conversion rate's not really, really good there. So you're consuming the free content. Do us a solid and take the 30 seconds and make a review. That's the least you could do. And then also climb over to the YouTube channel, the P-Car Talk channel there. Yep. Subscribe on there. Help push us over 1,000 so we can get that monetized. We're super close.
We give things away when we click over 1,000.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. We do that.
Yeah.
But,
well, I just stopped saying it just because it's just, we don't, and the thing is it sounds like we're asking a lot, but we're actually not. There's a lot of people in the social media realm and the content development realm that are a lot better at this as far as making the ask from a comfortability standpoint. Aaron and I don't feel comfortable to have to ask you guys that, but we are in a position where we do need to make that call out, and hopefully you guys, a call to arms, can come support us on that side of it. We would love to see you guys subscribe and do all those things. Like we said, we really do mean it. It does help us out a lot. It helps us out with rankings. It's going to help the channel out a lot. It's going to help you guys as content consumers a lot. So make sure if you do go to YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll see all of our stuff. You won't have to hunt it. There's 2 to 3 videos coming out every week of stuff that we're doing, all Porsche related. So help us out on that end. That would be a great, great help, right?
Yeah.
So let's move into Porsche itself. Porsche F1 engine was set to be sold to F1 teams. That actually stopped. That was canceled.
Okay.
So they were going to be an engine supplier for F1. It has nothing to do with the state of what's going on. This was something they made a decision on over the winter that they were going to cancel that program. However, the development of the engine's already happened.
Sounds very, very early 2000s.
Yeah, I've heard this song and dance before from Porsche. And they pulled the reins back and didn't sell the F1 engine to anybody, and they kept it for themselves. I wonder if this was just a ploy to say that, hey, maybe we would sell it. No, we're not going to sell it.
Yeah.
So where you were going, and I'm sure it sounds very Carrera GT. So essentially what Porsche has is an F1 developed engine right now that is a nothing. Mm-hmm. It will end up in something. So we may be seeing a newer version of a Carrera GT.
Do you think that they're going to call it? I mean, we thought that. I mean, everybody said that the 19 was the next generation Carrera GT. Do you think that's actually the case now? Well, maybe they'll do a Carrera GT 2021 edition.
Maybe. So where I think what this is, and the only bit of information that I was able to read from this cryptic stuff that I pulled out of here was essentially the only thing they confirmed on. They didn't talk about displacement of the engine. They didn't talk about cylinders in the engine, but they did say it's going to be a combustion engine and it's not going to be a hybrid.
Ooh.
So it still could be turbocharged.
Yeah.
However, it's going to be a combustion engine with no hybrid assist. So if it's going to get an assist, it's going to get an assist from a turbo, or it's going to be NA. So we know it's not going to have any lineage to the 918 because the 918 was a hybrid.
Exactly. Or even the RSR they built wasn't.
Yeah. So I think that's why I say Carrera GT, because I think this is going to have more ties to that. Now, again, this didn't say anything about it being manual, and it didn't give any details. Basically, it just says we have this Formula One engine we developed. It's not going in a car. We canceled that program. We're not selling the engine. However, they spent the R&D to develop the engine. It's definitely going to end up in some type of maybe hypercar.
An anniversary of the Carrera GT
coming
up.
It could be. So that's going to be coming out. What would you think if they did make something that was basically the the future of the Carrera GT now.
I mean, there's a lot of things they could update. I mean, interior wise, there's all that. I don't know. Do you think they might go back and their ability to maybe they have a Carrera GT body or something like that sitting in the warehouse where they kind of make an updated version, like version 2?
That'd be sick.
Because you know how they did, they brought it back to 93 Turbo for the last one. Maybe they have some things laying on the shelf somewhere and they go, well, what if we could update it and do a 2020 version? Here's what it looked like. And here you go. It's limited run. There's 10.
Yeah. Or whatever their crazy number would be that they come out with. I would love to see when they, and I know Porsche says this, they make specialty cars. It's all limited run with like a GT car and they only make, 2,600 of them or something like that. But like, let's say something with this where they make 500 of them or something. Say something super low, under 1,000, whatever the number they come up with for this type of car. What I'd like to see them kind of do is, if it's going to be a hypercar or something like that, maybe almost do a throwback type of deal and make them all manuals.
What if they did that? So that one car that they showed, that 917 concept, so they throw that naturally aspirated motor into a updated 917.
But I'm wishing for a manual, but I don't see a manual transmission going into this car, regardless of what it's going to be. Because
so you think they might do like we said, an updated Carrera GT, but PDK style?
Yeah, I think that's what it'll probably be. I think it'll be 100% a PDK car. It would be pretty sick if it was a naturally aspirated V10 mid-engine. Maybe it's a paddle shift and has newer design or something like that. I think that'd be pretty sick.
Oh yeah, I mean that's an endless possibility there.
Needless to say, that's an interesting thing that they mentioned that's coming out. We're due for something from them at a Halo level.
Yeah, the last thing we had is the GT2 RS Club Sport.
Yeah, and that was just a track rat. So I think from a street level, I think they're due. I mean, the 918 hybrid was the last thing.
They have to have something with McLaren and Aston Martin and all these guys putting out these crazy.
There's definitely something in development. I'm 100% sure they're not foolish enough to just sit by the sidelines and not.
Can't have all these Senna GTRs running around.
Exactly. They're just probably building a monster right now, and they're just don't want to leak it. Like Porsche's great at that, where they build something no one asked for really, but everybody wants it.
Everybody really wanted it. They didn't know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, holy crap, I got to get one. So the nice part about it is we do have a couple friends that are on the special list. So if the car gets offered maybe to them in far enough advance, maybe we can get a little bit of inside info. And if that happens, we'll let you guys know for sure. If somebody gets an allocation on it and they're like, hey, we don't know what it's going to look like, but they asked me if I wanted one and I want one. And I think the answer to that is always yes, right?
Oh, for sure.
You don't pass on it to say like, oh, well, let's see what it's going to look like. I'm not really too interested in it.
Yeah, it probably won't be great.
So let's move on. New Turbo S is out. Seen a lot of press stuff on it.
Apparently the NDA just left it because there's so many YouTube videos on it.
Yeah, we haven't got an opportunity to get in one yet. But I did want to talk to you about thoughts behind it as far as its statistical data behind it. 640 horsepower.
Which is a lot.
A lot of power. But what do you think about it from an aesthetic standpoint? Do you like the way it's designed, like the way the spoiler is? How do you feel about the way that car looks right now? Do you like the way it looks?
I think it finally makes the wide body make sense to me a little bit. I think it fills in a lot of places where it looked good, but now, okay, well, the turbo aero, it looks pretty good. I won't say that it's my favorite, but like anything, like I don't know that they'll perfect a spoiler for that car that's not a gooseneck spoiler.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Well, I think, obviously the Turbo S is supposed to be the top level car for the gen and what it's supposed to be and all those things. I find it to be interesting, and where I'm going with this is we talked about Turbo S before that I own one, and the way they used to do Turbo S, even from the beginning when they first developed the Turbo S, it always came very, very late in that gen. It always came towards that gen closing out. That's not happening here. Like, that generation just launched, and this isn't the first time they've done it. Like, they've done it with the previous gen too, with the 991. It didn't wait to the end of the run to come out with a Turbo S. this car just launched this year, and Turbo S's are going to be available to buy this year. Do you feel that takes away some of the specialness of the car itself, because it isn't they're not making people wait to the end of the run where maybe all the bugs are figured out, and they're making the best, because the theory behind it is it's supposed to be the best of that generation.
Yeah. I think,
how can you make a best of something when you just launched it, I guess?
Well, in tech specs, it is the best. I think the way that they launched this year, when they went with the S, the 4S, and now the Turbo, I think that's where their bread and butter is as far as sales go. So that's what they're doing, in my opinion, there. I mean...
And it's usually like a low production number car. And I don't know if it was deliberately always set up that way, or if it was just because it was the end of the run. But the last couple generations weren't that way with the Turbo S. They just kind of pump them out and whenever, and people buy them. Do you think it's kind of lost its specialness because of that? Or do you think it's not really...
I mean, I don't know. I think even with what Porsche would call large numbers in a car, still not.
Yeah, well, I think it's more of kind of just... It's not opted. A lot of people don't opt for that car because I almost feel like it's a secret car within Porsche that a lot of people... at that price point, just go to a GT car then. They don't buy the Turbo S. They either buy a Turbo or they go to a GT car, and they're just like, why would I buy the S?
That's true. I mean, it is a logical step, because that's.
But everybody who's had a newer recent S, like our friend Zach, when his is tuned, and they're world beaters.
Oh, yeah. There's no question.
Yeah. And where I'm going with this is, have you seen that 900 horsepower 991.2 Turbo S?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. It's a Miami blue one. It's obviously tuned.
Well, if I haven't.
Yeah, it's obviously tuned. It's something recent just came out on it. Whoever owns it, they were doing 0 to 60 times on it like 2.2 seconds.
Yeah,
like ridiculous. Obviously, a 900 horsepower car. This stuff is tuned. It has a lot of goodies on it. It's bumped up a lot. But the fact that you could still get all that with bolt-ons with a 991.2 is still really impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy amount of power.
Yeah.
For anything,
for a street, and it's a street car.
Yeah, especially for the street.
Yeah, it's a street car. So, it goes back to that thing. It's like, do you need that much more power? No, you don't. But I mean, it's pretty awesome that it can do it.
But it's handy that you can.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that it can do it. And I'm not trying to basically hype up a Turbo S because I own a Turbo S. I'm just more educated about them now. I felt the same way about it before I was even considering purchasing that car. They're kind of like, I don't want to call them misunderstood, but I guess Porsche general populace, including myself, prior to that purchase of that, and even probably you, not really that educated about them.
I feel like it's more of a half step to a GT car. Like your Turbo, okay, cool. And then Turbo S, well,
yeah, your lower numbers, okay, I get it. Not a lot of people opted for it, and that goes back to, like, I think maybe what you said too earlier in this conversation of, it wasn't maybe that Porsche seeked out to make so many little numbers of them, but I think it just was by default that a lot of people didn't option to buy it. And there's always that debate to say, okay, well, just because not letting people buy it, does it make it collectible just because it's a low number?
Well, yeah,
that's a debate where some people are in the camp of yes, some people are in the camp of no.
But it would also be allocations too. Who's getting them?
Yeah, that's true. I think it's interesting that I've just noticed that dynamic of, it used to be the end of the run. It used to be after basically the kinks and the quirks and all the stuff, because every generation of car has it, no matter what, especially in the Porsche 911 lineup, where they've been able to basically dial out any of the issues, and then they bring in the star. This is the best of the best. This is the best of all the options that we have, the best of the performance that we have. Those are the best wheels for the car. Those are the best brakes for the car. And we're going to slap it on this Turbo S. And now it's come out 4 or 5 years after the car's been out for a while. And now that's what's coming out. Yeah. I think the reason why, this is my personal opinion, I have no data to back this up. I think the reason why they stopped doing it is because there is a following for Turbo S. And they're probably looking at it as, if we can make the car for the entire generation run instead of waiting to the end, maybe we can make more money. Yeah. Because I think it's about money is what it really is.
Well, that's true. And you're still getting the power. I mean, most of the power, you're almost all the way up to a GT2 RS as far as power-wise goes. But you're not getting any of the harshness out of it.
Exactly. It's still comfortable. It's still not, you don't get all that drone probably out of it.
Well, you may just not be a GT car person.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that are like that out there too.
Probably not.
Exactly. And there's something to be said to have something that's nice. That's not going to beat the crap out of you, especially the older you get. We have friends, even in our age bracket, when they ride a while in the car, it hurts their back. They're like, "These freaking seats hurt my back. They look awesome, but after an hour."
I love carbon buckets, but I hate carbon buckets.
Exactly. Total pain in the ass, right? And we've talked about that whole thing many, many, many times.
I saw in Mexico. I'm sorry, just
no, go
random
ahead.
thought. I saw Mexico Blue Gambala 997 Turbo like yesterday.
On the road? Just
Yeah.
That's random.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Up by you or what?
It was a little far away, but it was.
Yeah.
I was driving around, taking a essential drive.
That's interesting.
But I was like, I thought it was a convertible, but I feel like it was like a carbon. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was super
Well,
wide.
Gambalas usually are
it was
weird.
Crazy looking.
Yeah.
But
Gambalas usually
it
are
was a strange
really
thing
weird.
to see on the street. I've never seen it up here.
Yeah. I've
Or
never
in
seen
our
that car.
area
I've
at
never
all.
seen that car. So on the same topic, before we close out on it, it segues me into this conversation with the Turbo S and the combustion engine. Do you feel that Porsche as a whole, as a company, as far as the combustion engine, and I know a lot of other companies have openly said this, Porsche hasn't said this, but do you feel that they have come to the end of them perfecting the combustion engine for what they put in their cars? Are they at the pinnacle? And is that why we're starting to see hybrids come along? Because now it's one of those things where the hybrid motor can help the other motor continue to be better. Are they maxed out for what the combustion engine
For
can
efficiency.
do? You know, as far as like and I'm not talking about, oh, of course they can make a 1200 horsepower car. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a mass produced, reliable engine.
Reliable, every day, beat it up.
And you
then
can
come
beat
out.
on it and it still produces every day and doesn't break. Something that can be mass produced and produce a good amount of horsepower, 640 horsepower. Are they at the pinnacle of this flat six?
I don't think that. I mean, because we have DG cars with similar motors in it, and I don't think they're the pinnacle of that.
Yeah, but we said like even like that 4 liter, 4.1 liter, that's pretty much where this thing is maxed. Nobody's making a 5 liter flat six. Nobody's doing these things. So are we tapped out? I think at this point from a displacement issue.
Do you think they're coming to the board table and going, I don't know if anybody needs anything else than 640 horsepower. I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah,
to be on the street. And to know that it's reliable.
I don't even think it's a horsepower thing. I really think it's because they're engineers and they're developers. I really feel like they're the behind the scenes. They're sitting in there and they're talking about, they're like, there's nothing else we can do to these engines. Meaning like the core of them.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, we can boost them higher. Yes, we can make them stronger to take more power. Yes, we can make more power. But is that the answer? Because now from an R&D standpoint, if you're not always charging forward, you're dying as a company. If you're not always being innovative, you're dying. So I think how can they, I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think they can innovate what they have as far as the base block anymore. I think they've done that. I think it's maxed.
And that's the reason that, I mean, they can't be any more efficient with it. They can't get any less emissions out of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think and I think it's all timing too, especially what's, going on with the EPA and all that kind of stuff where they're hammering down on a lot of these companies and the Volkswagen Group making this vow. I think it also maybe they're looking at it as an advantage. Maybe we'll make a car that has less displacement as an engine goes and then add a hybrid technology to it. And then it'll produce, just like the hybrid car. That thing was like a 1.8 liter or some crazy crap like that with a hybrid technology thing on it. Yeah. And it was faster than all get out or, whatever it was. Don't quote me on the liters. I know it was something small. But anyways, I think that's more of kind of where their brain's going to, because now they're probably thinking smaller displacement. I mean, we've already seen it in the 911 itself because it went to a 3 liter. Yeah. It bumped down. Is this going to be even more of a bump down, you think? Are we going to go like 2.7, like back to the old school
cool heritage?
Yeah, like old school style with the hybrid assist on it? Or I think...
Or at least a 3 liter across the board.
Yeah. I think they have they're maxed out on the flat six. I think as far as... Of course, we all know they can get more power, but it's meant from like technology-wise. Like what else can they do to it to improve that, make it robust, all its internals? I think they're beyond that. They've already passed that.
4 liter on it.
Yeah, they've already passed that. I think they've had that for a while. Yeah. I think they've already hit their pinnacle. It's not just recently. I think it's been there. I think what they're doing is modulating the
just
power
iterations
numbers.
of the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just modulating power as far as, okay, the delivery of it. Oh, okay, these turbos spool up faster. This does this. But the core of what's in there, the heartbeat's like still old.
That's the reason we haven't seen like crazy power jumps.
Yeah, because it goes back to development.
We're talking like 20 horsepower bumps. Like it's
Well,
like
you think about it too. It's when you produce something, that's how you do it. You don't make these leaps and bounds because you're only as good as the last thing you produced. So if you make this monstrous like jump, like for example, let's just take the newer Turbo S that just came out. Say they made that a 750 horsepower car because it's the new gen. They're always competing within their own lineup because then people are going to say, just like you said, well, it's got more power than a GT2 RS that came out at 690. And I can buy a Turbo S for a lot less, and I can go stomp that car out. Obviously it's not about power, but people will still make that comparison, even though they're different animals.
Because it's easy to go numbers and numbers.
Because there's a lot of stat junkies out there. So they're going to sit there and compare the two cars from the different aspects, even though they're nothing alike. They're still going to compare it just because of the numbers. They're turbos. Let's talk about it. It's one of those things. And I think that's one of the more crippling things for Porsche as a whole. And we've seen it where they have to do it to the Caymans. They have to power them down so they're not faster than the GT3s. They have to. So it's a balancing act for them with all of these cars because there's people in there playing devil's advocate saying, whoa, can't make that car have that much kind of power because people aren't going to buy that and they won't buy a GT3.
So does that mean are you making a stance for they need to clean up or streamline their own lineups?
They're already doing it.
Yeah,
they're already doing it. I think it went from a more is more type of situation, and I think now it's going to be more is less. I think everything ebb and flows with a company, and Porsche is no different. I think they're going to get into one of those situations where they're already kind of in it, where they have to be very, very delicate of the cars that they do release and the power numbers that come out, and maybe even fudge a little bit and say it has less power even though it has more power. Because there's not going to be too many people that are going to go out there and try to figure out what the crank horsepower is. Or everybody usually at dynos something, especially newer, it's going to be to the wheel. I mean, you can do reverse calculation. You can kind of figure it out. And people do it all the time. And they're like, wow, this car was really underrated. Said this car only had 480 horsepower at the crank, but had more like 580 at the crank. Because it dynoed at 550 to the wheel.
Yeah.
And we didn't do anything to it. Just using that as an example. I just think it's an interesting debate. We'll take a quick break, and then we have some C8 conversation to have when we come back. It'll be interesting.
Exciting.
Thank you guys listening to PCAR Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Also, check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment, we really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com, there is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward and all the exciting things that are coming out. Now back to the show.
We are back from break, and I did promise some C8 conversation.
DC will be ecstatic.
Yeah, and why this is relevant is because a couple automobile groups just recently tested a Z51 C8 Corvette versus a 2020 Porsche Carrera S. Not really, I think, a fair comparison. I guess maybe they're looking at it from a horsepower standpoint. Those two should compete. Yep. But definitely from a pricing standpoint, there's 60 grand. It separates these cars.
That's always the headline.
Yeah, and so let's get into it. The C8 with that Z51 pack basically retails at $84,000.
Okay.
The Carrera S is retailing at about $144,000. Okay. Yes. Is there a price difference? Of course there is. What I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about, and I just have some questions how you feel about it, and then I'll weigh in afterwards. Do you even feel that this is a fair comparison as far as when they compare these things? And I don't even mean from a price point. I just meant overall performance, manufacturers. Both of these cars have lineage. Corvette's been around for a long time as well. I could see that aspect of it. But do you feel that this is a fair comparison for not just for Porsche, not trying to defend Porsche, but I'm just saying, does it make sense for both of these cars to be maybe put together in a head-to-head? Do you see that?
The reason it makes sense in my mind is because they're holding the 911 like they always do as the golden standard, and you don't know how well you've done until you've put your car against that standard. So and even money aside, like you said, horsepower could be the same, but you don't know how well you're doing until this car has been the car of the year so many times. It's always been the sports car everybody knows about. So you like until you've matched it up, you don't know.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about it from that perspective. It's the litmus, right? So, and it always has a target on its back, which we all know that are Porsche fans. If you're listening, that makes total sense because that is the standard, right? So if you're going to make a sports car, to compete in the masses, you always throw the 911 in there against it. Let's talk a little bit about the C8 for a little bit. How do you feel about it, from a design perspective? And obviously we're Porsche people, so, be honest, but at the same time, what are your thoughts on this thing?
I like design stuff in general, so if it looked good, I'd tell you it looked good. It doesn't look, it just looks just odd in places. I think they could have done a design where it was its own, but it didn't have to be like so many things. It didn't look like they're still trying to figure it out what they were making and then put it on a production line. Because it looks so much like the NSX, but then it looks like an Aventador, but then it looks just a mixture of some stuff in their own line, like Camaro rear end. It's just, I don't know if it's just...
Hence the $84,000 pricing, probably.
I mean, and that'd be the other thing, too, is they're trying to do this, keep that number and say, okay, we have the most affordable sports car, but at the same time, figuring out how all this new technology is going to be cooled and make it reliable like their demographic wants it to be or expects it to be.
Yeah, I think they've missed a huge opportunity, is what I think. Yeah. I think you're moving over to a mid platform, a mid-engine platform. I feel like a lot of design cues were monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah,
they had but in retrospect, to support them, maybe that's where we're seeing the pricing is low because they didn't spend a lot of money doing a lot of rendering, a lot of
capped
styles. Like they're like, look, this is what the budget is for this. We can't go over the top because if we do go over the top, the pricing is going to be affected by it.
Yeah, everybody costs something.
Yeah, so maybe this was where the line in the road was to say it has to look this way because we want to keep this price point. So maybe design was driven by price.
Yeah, but I mean, like we saw it, Amelia, and we were at the Haggerty cocktail party, chatting it up. When we were just standing around, we were seeing some cars move in, and we noticed it was the Corvette booth, and the cars getting backed in, and then those were concepts, and some of those concepts were unbelievable. I don't know why they didn't lean on. They have great designs that they've done in the past. I don't know why some of those weren't leaned on a little heavier and kind of paid homage to that side of the house.
Well, it's because their fan base is even more like belligerent about changes to the chassis. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring that up for them too. Those guys go off the deep end when they change a tail light or something like that on those cars, the diehards, the one I'm talking about. Speaking of the Corvette, I think this is a smart move in the sense of turning the page to get new blood in. I think it was a huge miss as far as design cues. I don't like how I do like how Porsche is the standard, but I really feel it's such an easy topic for them, meaning GM when I say them, to say, oh, our car costs $60,000 less than yours in the same price comparison with the package, with the same kind of package. And they're like, oh, we're mid-engine, we're this. Now remember, so here's the thing. Obviously, we're Porsche lovers. We have a Porsche podcast. The Corvette, and they're starting to be delivered as we speak. And after all the special people finally get theirs, and then it's just mass public having them, these things are going to be like Honda Civics. That's personally every generation. And I have a friend of mine who's a Corvette generation, like diehard guy. He's owned every generation, and he's a younger guy. He just, for some reason, just likes Corvettes. And as soon as he could afford one out of college, that's what was his vehicle of choice. To each their own, right? So his argument is that always, I can get all this power for this price point, and that's attractive to him. And I get that. And that's fine that you can get all in. There's always going to be people that are always attracted to that. And for me, I feel, even though it has a long lineage similar to a 911 that's been around that long and all that kind of stuff and all that great stuff, the difference in my personal opinion is the 911 still looks like a 911.
Well, 100%. I mean, and no matter how wide it gets.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. I mean,
design cues are still very, very similar from 65 to now.
And you've been able to
Corvette can't say that.
No, it's true. They've always been hunting an image, even from 53 on.
Yeah, they're always hunting something. Now, some people might say, well, that's not fair to compare it. I don't think it's fair to have these cars compete in the same class. And again, not trying to be nasty about it or anything like that. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that car to make it cheaper. There's a lot of feels that go into that car to make it cheaper. Yeah, the Porsche is going to cost more, but it's refined. It's more refined.
Yeah, I mean, there's an all-around experience.
And there's always that argument, too. It's like if you're just chasing power, you don't even need to buy a Corvette. You can go buy something that has a ton of power.
Yeah, there's an argument to be said with
go buy a Hellcat.
Yeah, you can Hellcat. You can get in some of the new Mustangs.
Yeah,
the tune.
So, but I guess it's not a handling sports car, right? So that's why the Corvette, it's supposed to handle and it's supposed to do all those things. And unfortunately, we were going to get to see what they were really about in IMSA this year, but conveniently they threw something on the world, like GM got scared. I'm just kidding. It's not fun. But in all seriousness, I really feel like these cars are apples and oranges, other than them both being sports cars, especially.
I mean, that's all they need to have on the moniker, and then throw it out there and do the comparison. So, I mean, what did they find out? Was there anything surprising?
Yeah, the 911 performed flawlessly, and shocker, still the king. Yeah. But it's one of those things where, yeah, if that's what you want, that's what you want. I almost feel, and there's some rare birds out there. There's guys that like Corvettes and Porsches too. Those are unicorn people. Usually there's a camp for you, and you're pretty hardcore about which camp you live in.
It's a funny T-shirt. just like a unicorn head, and I'll make it. I probably won't sell anything, but I'm gonna make one.
Or you should make a shirt where there's two campsites and there's like a road divided in between them, and like there's a bunch of guys with like New Balances and like sitting in chairs on the other one, and then there's a bunch of other guys on the other one, like on the Porsche side, doing like campfires or hanging out. I don't know. It would be hilarious, but not to go off topic. What I'm not looking forward to is how many of these I'm going to have to see on the road. What I'm not looking forward to.
That's the thing. Like even with the amount of Porsches that are on the road, like just all generations, you don't see them that often.
No, and that's what I love about them, is because they're only because of what's going on. At least in my area, the other day when I went out for my own cruise, I saw a lot of 911s out, and it's almost like people are driving their 911s just because they're trapped at home.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. It was just kind of observation that I saw when I was out there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I saw that happening. I just thought that was an interesting topic because there was a couple places, and like you said, they'll go against the 911 as much as they can to say like, oh, well, it's so expensive. It's so this. Here's another thing too, and maybe because it's just data and it's numbers, the 911 is going to hold value longer too than the Corvette will. I mean, look at what we can look at. Some of these used Corvettes can be sold now a couple generations back. I mean, we're talking teens.
Yeah, I don't think there's even all the way back, even the 912s now are not in the teens anymore.
Mm-hmm. So
there's not many things.
There's that residual from a Porsche standpoint too. They retain value better.
Yeah, and that's a 912. That's not even talking about. If it was just talking about 911s, there's nothing in the 911 range. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's anywhere in the teens. I don't think of any generation. Maybe some 996s, maybe, but.
Mm-hmm. Do you think going mid-engine in the way that, as far as them turning the page, I know this is just different, but what are your thoughts on it as far as is it a good move that they finally do something? I know we're not happy about the way they ended up picking up the design, but I'm just saying, like, as far as like something. Trying to push forward,
they had to do something. I think they were maxed out liter size as far as the motor power. They obviously had used that platform as much as they could on the racetrack, so they were getting as far as they could. They weren't getting any wins out of it. It's time for them to. They obviously were seeing from an engineering standpoint the numbers.
Yeah.
Saying that this is just not going to keep up and not going to be efficient this
time
way.
To make a change, right?
We got to do something different.
Yeah.
And we wanted to. They've wanted to for how long now? I mean,
I feel like the energy around it, even though the design we're not in love with it, I feel the energy around the C8 is actually it's a positive thing. Like,
yeah,
there's
a lot more people. I think for GM, I think it's positive because no matter what, everybody's talking about it. The like, the hate, it doesn't matter. And it's just really kind of sparked some new interest, but I think it kind of made the diehards even rally a little bit harder around it because, oh man, look at this.
Yeah.
Now some new colors. It's things everybody else was doing already. GM's, they're getting there. They're starting to catch up.
I always find it interesting, all these like car manufacturers fighting against each other for the new whatever coming out, but yet Porsche has managed to keep the engine, and it's debatable in the rear how far in the rear it is. Yes, we understand, but just with tweaks over time and perfecting their product, I always find it interesting that Porsche is the standard, not in the sense of like that I wouldn't expect it, but I always find it's still they're keeping to their heritage, but and that car that on paper with a pendulum effect, it shouldn't be a good car,
it's a standard.
But yet it's the standard that all of these other manufacturers are always trying to throw the gauntlet against. They're like, all right, let's go get a 911 and compare our new crap to it, basically. Yeah. And it's always kind of like, damn, the 911's faster.
It's so much better.
It's like, how the hell did they do this? Like, this doesn't make any damn sense.
Well, he's 70 years of perfection.
Yeah, exactly, right. So they figured out a way to make it work. Thought it was an interesting debate. Unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of these on the road just because that's.
I mean, the thing that sticks out to me is, like, I know, back to design. Who puts the scoop or part of the scoop on the door? That's the question. Like, why do you need to do that?
The whole design thing with that car is a total miss, in my opinion. They missed. Like, I'm a car person. I'm with you. I like design. They had a blank canvas. And
they should have kept the C7 as far as that looked really good. I thought they had a home run on that design, bringing back the Stingray style.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe they should have just tweaked that, made it a little bit wider. Because think about how much more aggressive that would have looked had they just like cut it down the middle essentially and widened it by a foot or something.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to that's how they have this rock bottom pricing where they can go and get this parts bin special and do
it. Just went retro. Should took like the C5 body style, threw a mid-engine motor. Keeping it cheap, guys.
Throwback. All right, let's transition. Enough Corvette Carrera talk because Carrera always wins, so it doesn't matter. But that's all they want to always argue is the price point. So, yeah, argue the price point, whatever. Moving on. So, racing during the lockdown. Thoughts on this? How long? I know you're not obviously in the know, but your just personal opinion. If this goes, like, I guess I'll better wording and better scenario. If this goes further into the year, what does the race season look like?
Different, because I don't think like in the race world in general, I don't think everybody that's in an actual car this year is getting virtual race time or iRacing time or whatever they're doing. I think they've actually, I know some of the other teams in the other racing series are hiring out professional esports players. Yeah. So I don't know how this actually works out. Is if you're a driver, are you really getting the same amount of seat time you would normally? How's your sponsorships working? Yeah. I don't know that it translates. No. I mean, it is entertainment, but it's still not the same. Right?
I just meant even like from record keeping purposes. What does this year look like on paper?
How do you keep points? Yeah, that's true. Like, so
what does this look like? Is this just an asterisk year? Like
DNF?
Yeah. Nobody wins a championship this year.
Yeah, that is a good question.
I mean, basically next year, maybe when this race season happens, is it
I think
and then it goes to, so check this out, right? Because the race season starts so early with Rolex in January, if they don't get all these races in because it pushes back later, does it? Because if they've talked about Sebring is going to be, Sebring's going to be in October, or excuse me, November.
November, yep.
And that's going to be the last race of the season.
What if it's the 2 Florida races? What if it's just Daytona and Sebring, and that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy. I mean, to put it in perspective, Le Mans pushed out that normally happens in June is happening in September.
Is Petit still happening? Because I haven't looked it up.
Who knows, dude?
I haven't saw it.
Who knows? Who knows what any of this stuff's happening? Luft just got pushed, I mean, obviously that's unrelated to racing, but in our show's pushed. So I'm just trying to paint this picture. What if everything starts to come online towards the end of the summer? I think that's just logistically impossible to finish a season in that short a time span.
I think they do 2 things. I think they, just from you speaking about that, I think the real world racing gets points, and it gets decided somehow. And then I think the digital stuff gets its own little trophies, however that works. But it's not the same. I don't think it transitions.
Yeah, so maybe nobody really wins anything this year.
Well, it's still getting sponsored because I mean, somebody's winning something, but I don't think it's gonna.
No, I just meant for history reasons. I won Le Mans in 2020, or I won.
Great. Yeah, on iRacing, sweet.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool story,
where I'm saying real real racing. Where say Le Mans doesn't happen this year. Let's say it. So in the record books, it still has to have something. So they say no race this year or something. That's what it's going to look like in 2020 or something like that because of what's happening. I just think that's going to be really strange. I'm not saying we need to race and risk lives, but I'm just saying I think it's an interesting topic to talk about of during our lifetime, we're going to see that if that goes down that way. And when we're older and hopefully when everybody recovers and we move on from this, it's going to be one of those, remember when back in 2020, we didn't even have a season and nobody won. Isn't that going to be really weird? I think that's a really weird anomaly to have. And there's nothing in it. Obviously, nobody saw this coming, but I just think it's going to be an interesting moment in history across the world in all of sports. Where maybe this season doesn't even happen all the way across.
I think if anybody had questions whether esports was going to work or not, it's clearly doing something.
Yeah,
I mean that's the trend. It's definitely not the way we wanted things to be transitioned, but thinking there's the ability to do that. I mean, it could be no racing at all.
Yeah, and as more develops on that, as far as IMSA comes out with maybe something and. We'll keep you guys posted so you guys don't have to follow it, or if we hear it first, or if you guys hear it first and know something and leak it to us or send us a message on it. I just think it was an interesting topic to think about because the later we go into the year, we start to run into a time crunch, right? Yeah. As far as, all right, well, season 2021's coming starting in January.
Is it just like season 20?
Do you just basically race the races you can for this year and that's preparation for 2021
qualified for some type of standings?
Because think about it this way, they're saying Sebring is going to, in their theory, at least EMSA was theorying when this was a month ago before this thing started spiraling where it is right now, where they can still race, and they're like, okay, we'll close the season at Sebring in November. Well, check that out on paper. Even if they raced mid-November or whenever they were going to race in November, so you have a month off, which is December. And then you're already testing for the Roar in the beginning of January, and then you're racing 24 hours in Daytona at the end of January. There is no break.
No, that's crazy.
If they got back to racing now, so it's going to be, looks like even later. So do they go to the point where they're going to have to make a decision, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they will.
They're going to have they're going to have to sit down with the teams and sit down what they want this to look like and what everybody amicably can agree to, and sit down and say, here's what we're going to have to do, guys, because we're getting caught so late in the year. We still need to run races for sponsorship reasons. You guys need to run your car still when they're allowed to run them. The fans still want to see some stuff. So what this year is going to be is there's not going to be any, you're going to win that race, but it's only winning that race. It's not going towards a championship number because we can't base a season off of 7 races. And whoever wins those 7 is considered that year's champion. Or, playing devil's advocate, they may come to the agreement and say, these next 6 races, whoever gets the most points wins this season. Is everybody cool with that? And they may do that. I don't know. But the point is it's going to be really, really interesting the longer this thing prolongs, what that's going to do to not just road racing and endurance racing and the stuff we like, but even just all professional sports in general. What they're going to do is their season. Okay, hey, we're allowed to play 20 games. These fucking 20 games, whoever does whatever, that's who wins, or whatever. For baseball, for example, who knows how long this goes for. Thankful for them, they play for 9 months and play like 300,000 games a year. So they have a lot of...
That's true. That baseball does have some leniency
exactly,
there.
Jesus. Anyways, but... football, all this other stuff that's going to be coming up through the years.
Everything's going to be on Madden 2021. Here we go.
Exactly. Teams are going to play each other on computer or something.
Whoever's the best.
I just think it's not even, I'm just thinking from an entertainment setting. I know that's not what's important in the world right now, but I just want to take people's minds off things. I think it's going to be an interesting, basically cataloged time in our lives.
Where everything's put on pause.
Yeah, where all of these things that mean something to us when the world is normal, what is that going to look like when maybe things do come back to normal and now that time is passed? We still have to catalog that the year happened. It doesn't matter. It's just one of those kind of like
black hole.
Exactly. Asterisks by everything. 2020, basically. It's like, nobody participated. Nobody did anything.
No. Yeah. 2020 do-over.
Exactly. So it's just very, very, very strange times to be around.
Well, I mean, I think it's caused everyone to slow down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know how they're going to count this season. I mean, you do have Kevin Estra and all these guys doing iRacing. Mm-hmm. They're doing the racing. So should that not count? Should they not get points going towards a race season? I mean,
but you got into the weeds really deep in this when we talked offline. And what if you have something that your people aren't not all the equipment standardized?
Yeah, I don't think it's
so. How can they?
Yeah, I don't. The homologation point is what I think. I mean, you can standardize the cars on the game, but that doesn't mean that if I'm using a Fanatic Podium DD2,
that's what I'm saying. The equipment, there's no standard. Like, how can I award you as a winner?
Yeah.
When I haven't. I basically ran.
You haven't got tech inspection.
I was just about to say you didn't have tech inspection on, but you had the best equipment in the world than somebody else, and maybe your processor is even faster, so you're seeing things quicker or whatever it is.
Yeah, you can. There's definitely could be advantages here and there, and I agree with that. That's another reason.
And that's why I feel like you can't champion somebody.
Yeah.
Realistically.
So I know it's not our racing, but the NASCAR.
You got some rich kid from New Jersey, 16 years old, who won the race, and he's not even on a Porsche factory team. He's like, I'm running a minute faster than everybody. It's like, you got all the cheat codes, bro.
The counter to that, he wasn't that old. He might have been in his teens. He had a Jeep attach it to the desk system, and he won NASCAR last year. For the iRacing series, he won. Bro. I was like, oh, I wonder what he's using. All of a sudden, I see it clamped to the desk, and he's just
he's got the Wonder Bread suit on.
he didn't have it raised. That would have been epic, but no.
Get some, boys.
but yeah, I mean, I think the equipment could make the difference. I mean, we have our friend Celia. She's racing for the GTI stuff, and they're doing the VLN series or the MLS or whatever for the Nürburgring. She had fun with it, but it's definitely not the car. I mean, unless you have a full motion sim, and then there you go. That's money there.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere from 15 to 70, 100 grand.
Yeah. Especially all these spectator sports that everybody looks forward to seeing or participating in, or even as a fan, you really don't put those things into perspective because we've never encountered anything like this in the world that we've had to deal with.
How do you feel about the you may just remind me, they're like the Radio Le Mans guys. They're still broadcasting like it's a real race. How do you get pumped up about that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're professionals, so they're trying to do, I get it. I mean, and it's also an exercise in staying with their practice and their craft too, because you think about it, it's almost kind of, they need to do it, because if they just do nothing and take time off, they're going to be rusty.
Yeah.
And drivers are going to be rusty. So
they have a job too. That's
exactly. So I think it's a good thing. I think everybody's doing what they can within the respect for safety. But I think it just kind of helps you reflect on all the things that you kind of take for granted that you're allowed to go do and you're allowed to go see and allowed to participate in. And when all those things are taken away from you, you're just kind of like, wow, okay, so how does this work?
Exactly. I'm going to go, oh, no, I can't.
Yeah. So anyways, don't want to harp on it. I just thought it was nice. Want to remind you guys to make sure you go onto iTunes, give us a positive rating if you're enjoying the show. Remember, it helps us out a lot. We can't say that enough. We have a lot of listeners and only a handful of reviews. So really, really weighing on you guys to come through for us on that end as we're producing this content for you guys and taking the time to do that. So please take the 30 seconds to do that for us as well. It would help us out a lot, helps a lot with tracking analytics, and that's the why behind it. Additional to that, please swing over to the PCAR Talk channel on YouTube, subscribe, notification bell. There's a lot of videos on there. I know there's a lot of people trying to consume content right now because you want to focus on other things other than what's going on out there. And we're a great place to do that. And we love sharing it with you guys. So please reciprocate that for us. And that's our ask on that end. We continue to produce the content for you, but at least do us a solid. I know there's a lot of people that watch and don't subscribe and all those things like that because we can see it. How do you get 19,000 views on a video and you still only have 800 subscribers is goddamn baffling to me, but because that's a really crappy conversion ratio. Yeah. So please do us a solid and do your part and subscribe and take the seconds to log in. I know it's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to log in. Everybody just wants free stuff, and really sucks that you got to, click a bell and you got to hit the subscribe button. It's a real big pain in the ass because, and I don't know, and I sound like a real smart ass, but we have some of our closest friends. We go over to their house. He's like, yeah, I watch all the videos. He's not even logged in. I'm like, dickhead, dude, take the time and just do us one solid. Take the 30 seconds that you could do it. And then
it keeps you logged in.
Yeah. And then after that, you're golden. You don't have to sit subscribe again. You're subscribed. And guess what? The videos show up. Dude, you're listening. You're taking we're taking the time to make all this stuff for you guys. That's, you don't want to be a club member. That's fine. I get it. Whatever. But at least you can do that stuff, right? At least you can do that stuff. But anyways, I'll get off the soapbox. Please stay safe out there. We're thinking about you guys, and we're going to continue to make content as long as we can and be safe about it. Yeah. Right? All right. See you guys later.
See ya. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk or online at PCARTalk.com.